Welcome back. We're ready to begin Phase 2. Let's get started. PAWfect Crate Company, a guided consulting experience. Phase 2, Understanding the Challenge. Chapter 4, The Executive Conversation. Consulting Focus, Seeing the Whole Business. Early the next morning, the consulting team gathered once again in the conference room overlooking the production floor. The previous day's tour had answered many questions, but it had also created new ones. The consultants had seen an organization that appeared organized and collaborative. What they had not yet seen were the decisions taking place behind the scenes that kept the company moving forward. Emma welcomed the group before introducing David Brooks, PAWfect's Chief Financial Officer. David placed a neatly organized folder on the conference table, but left it closed. Instead of directing attention to financial reports, he began by talking about decisions. David began by reminding the consultants that successful business decisions rarely begin with numbers.
Financial statements tell us what happened. Your job is to discover why.
Rather than opening with financial reports, David encouraged the team to think about the company as an interconnected system rather than a collection of departments. Customers, employees, operations, technology, and financial performance constantly influenced one another. A change in one area inevitably created consequences somewhere else. He explained that consultants often made the mistake of analyzing each department independently. In reality, the most valuable insights came from recognizing how decisions in one part of the organization affected every other part.
Everything you'll receive over the next few days is evidence, not answers.
David reminded the consultants that some information would confirm their initial observations, while other evidence might challenge them. Both outcomes were valuable because effective analysis depended on following the evidence rather than defending first impressions. As the meeting came to a close, the consultants realized that the next stage of the engagement would demand a different kind of thinking. Gathering information would be relatively straightforward. Discovering the relationships hidden within that information would be the real challenge. Chapter 5. Asking Better Questions. Consulting Focus, Thinking Like a Consultant. Following David's discussion, the consultants remained in the conference room to review everything they had learned during the first day of the engagement. Their notebooks contained observations about employees, production, technology, and company culture, yet the conversation quickly shifted from what they already knew to what they still needed to discover. Soon the whiteboard began filling with questions as different consultants added ideas, circled recurring themes, and drew arrows connecting one question to another. As they compared notes, the consultants began identifying the questions that would guide the rest of the engagement. What factors limit production capacity? How satisfied are customers? Can current staffing support continued growth? Is existing technology capable of supporting future growth? What financial risks accompany expansion? Rather than searching for immediate solutions, the team focused on the evidence they would need before making recommendations. The discussion reinforced an important lesson. Strong consulting begins with thoughtful questions, not quick answers. Before leaving for the day, Emma returned to the conference room and glanced at the whiteboard filled with questions. Emma said with a smile,
"Good. I don't see many answers."
She reminded the consultants that organizations rarely struggled because they lacked opinions. They struggled when decisions were made before enough evidence had been gathered.
The best consultants ask better questions before they offer better solutions.
The consultants left the meeting with a renewed sense of purpose. Observation had helped them understand PAWfect Crate Company. The next stage of the engagement would require something more demanding. They would investigate the business with curiosity, discipline, and an open mind. Chapter 6. Preparing for the Investigation. Consulting Focus, Building an Evidence-Based Mindset. Before dismissing the group for the day, Emma thanked the consultants for approaching the engagement with open minds.
Yesterday you were visitors. Today you're beginning to think like consultants.
She reminded the group that every consultant brought previous experiences and assumptions into a project. The challenge, she explained, was not avoiding assumptions, but being willing to change them when the evidence pointed in a different direction. Emma placed a set of folders at the center of the table. Each was labeled with a different area of the business and contained reports, interview notes, data summaries, and other materials the consultants would begin reviewing the following morning. Emma explained that the leadership team had intentionally organized the upcoming information to reflect the way real business decisions are made. Some reports would reinforce what the consultants had already observed, while others might challenge their first impressions. Neither outcome should be viewed as success or failure. The objective was to understand the organization accurately before recommending change. Before concluding the session, she offered one final reminder.
Don't fall in love with your first conclusion. Follow the evidence wherever it leads.
The consultants gathered their notebooks, now filled with observations, questions, and ideas worth exploring. The unopened folders remained on the table, a visible reminder that the questions they had developed would soon be tested against evidence. The orientation phase of the engagement had come to an end. They understood the client, the opportunity, and the questions that needed to be answered. Beginning tomorrow, their role would change. They would move beyond learning about PAWfect Crate Company and begin investigating the evidence that would shape its future. The next stage of the engagement would require more than careful observation. It would require disciplined analysis, consultant file review, client orientation. Before evaluating individual business functions, consultants must understand the organization they are analyzing. Review Section A, Consultant Orientation. This file provides essential background information, including company history and mission, organizational structure, leadership roles, current performance indicators. Use this information to establish the context for the consulting engagement. Consultant File Review, Strategic Leadership. Understanding leadership priorities is essential before evaluating PAWfect's growth opportunity. Review Section B, Strategic Leadership. This file provides leadership perspectives related to the proposed national retail partnership, growth readiness, to strategic risks requiring further analysis. Use this evidence to understand the decisions, concerns, and questions guiding the consulting engagement. That wraps up Phase 2. When you are ready, join me in Phase 3. I'll see you there.